Hi there, I am Laurie Delk.
Hi, I'm Catherine Asaro. Rara is in the house.
And we are the Gratitude Girls. And while we speak to you here tonight, if you have any questions or comments, you're welcome to post them right here in our comment section on our video. And Catherine, I'm going to let you introduce our guest.
Yes, I am absolutely waiting for you to give me the opportunity to do that. And I'm just going to ask our guest to maybe take 2 seconds and soak in the scene. We're going to be artists tonight. We want to paint the scenery for our audience so that some of our new viewers who are here, who might not know, who are the Gratitude Girls? What are we doing? Where are we? Why is this show on? I just wanted to give a little background, or I want to give a big background. There's nothing little about the Gratitude Girls, and definitely not our backgrounds or our front grounds for that matter. I'd like to let our audience know where I am geographically, and Laurie, perhaps you can share as well. So I am sitting right now in the Niagara region in Ontario, Canada. The town that we're in is St. Catharines. So we're in our home. I'm in my home study, and this is where we're actually doing our show tonight. Laurie, you want to share with the audience where you're sitting, what part of the world?
Yes, absolutely. I am outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
A part of the world I have not yet gotten to yet. For the audience that's watching, and maybe Carolyn doesn't know this, Laurie and I, we're just approaching, well, I guess we're in our 4th year. In 2013, Laurie and I started the Gratitude Girls, and it was a wonderful moment that we incepted our thoughts, our minds, our bodies. We met, and as soon as we met, we knew we had something to do together. And from what I understand from our guest tonight, this isn't our first time around. This might even be our 2nd time around, but we're quite comfortable with what we're doing. And for our audience watching us, there's a wonderful story. I'd love to share it with you. And you can actually see that on our website. It's under Hangouts. And excuse me, it's not under Hangouts. It's under, Laurie, is it called Our Story? For a minute, my mind drew a blank. It's on Gratitude.
You know, I'm not looking at our website, so I don't remember.
Right, I'm doing it by memory. So on gratitudegirls.com, you'll see that there's a video and a story about Laurie and I and how we got started and why we're here. And we're so passionate and why we're so passionate. And it grows. So going into our 4th year, it deepens. It gets deeper. The feeling, the passion of what you do, it is part of our life. And so what we are doing tonight is we are going to be sharing our stage, our audience, with a wonderful woman. I'm going to introduce her to you now. It's a funny story, and I don't know if this happens too much in life. I went to a networking meeting a couple of months ago, and sitting across the room was a woman whose name I knew that I knew. I thought, I know this name. And I thought, I know you. Well, about a year ago, it was in my sight to meet Carolynn Tersigni. I wanted to meet her. I wasn't sure exactly how that was going to happen. I saw her name. I knew that she was part of what I was doing, and I wasn't too sure how to get to her. And I knew geographically we were a couple of hours away. So a couple of months ago when I met Carolynn, I thought, this is amazing. I have been wanting to meet you for a year. I'm so excited. And Carolynn was extremely receptive and such a warm person. We started to talk, and Carolynn went through monumental efforts to actually go from her part of the world to my part of the world. And not only did we meet at that networking event, which is called Wings, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, she came to my home in St. Catharines, and we had the chance to sit face to face, yes, face to face in this online world. And we got to look in each other's eyes and talk and go and have lunch. We had a Rotary lunch. And Carolynn and I have really gotten to know each other. And I would love for our audience to get to know a little bit more about our guest tonight. I'd like to introduce Carolynn Tersigni from Ontario, Canada. Carolynn, welcome to the Gratitude Girls.
Thank you. Such a warm welcome from both of you. I'm so happy to be here.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Carolynn.
pleasure was all mine, actually. And, you know, I don't believe in accidents. Everything happens for a reason and divine timing. So I'm so glad that I put it out to the universe for us to meet.
Yes, and thanks to Judy
Yeah.
Irvin that happened, actually. It's all because of Judy. We'll have to pay tribute to her. Carolyn, would you like to tell our, right? Would you like to tell our audience what part of the world you're sitting in?
In Ontario, it's very much like, reminds me of Kentucky. Actually, every morning when I leave here, with the rolling hills and the beautiful sunrise coming over those mountains. 2 minutes from Woodbridge, which is just outside of Toronto. Far away that we can't get down into the city for all the excitement, but just outside of the city enough to have some peace and quiet and beautiful, beautiful animals out here and rolling hills to live amongst. So,
Carolyn, thank you for that. Would you say that you're sitting in your dream home at the moment?
Definitely, yeah. It's I find my dreams are always evolving. So at the present moment, this is my dream home. We've been here just over 2 years, and constantly changing, which is always exciting for me. I like to change things up quite a bit. So we're in that process right now. So we did the outside last year, and now it's the inside's turn. So stuff.
Well, talking about inside and outside, let's shed some light. Let's put the spotlight on who you are. So our audience is watching you. Some of our audience may have read something about what we wrote, and some of them may have just tuned in. So can we share a little bit about Carolynn Tersigni? Tell us about you, and then tell us about a day in the life.
Oh. Married. I have 2 beautiful children. Going to be 15 this year, and Jacob's going to be 19 this year. Both very, very, very proud of them and all their accomplishments. I'm also a stepmom, so I have 2 stepdaughters that I'm very, very close with. One actually lives out near Stony Creek, not too far from you, Catherine. Both married with 2 children each. So technically I'm a nonna, which is the Italian version of a grandmother, very proudly, I might add. And they range from 4 to 10 this year, 3 boys and 1 little girl. So that gives us a whole other dynamic in our family, which is really exciting. I've always resonated with things with me since I was very small, are still with. They're definitely a part of my life. I have a younger brother who lives up in the Barrie area. My parents are in that area as well. Our family, it doesn't extend too much for my side of the family. So marrying into the Italian family brought lots of extra family members, which I appreciate, and was probably looking for on some level. So, you know, lots of cooking, lots of get-togethers, which I thoroughly enjoy doing. I love playing Martha Stewart. A lot of my friends actually nickname me that, the hostess with the mostest. And I really enjoy that kind of service to my friends and family. So I do host a lot of stuff in my home, in my design center as well. And I like sharing everything that I have in my life with the people around me. So my day starts pretty early. Sophia gets off to school. She's leaving by 7:30, so I'm up about 6. We're getting the lunch ready, the breakfast is ready for everybody. The type of person to kind of lounge around in pajamas in the morning. Once I'm up, I'm dressed, everything's put together, and my day starts. I'm pretty much a aspects, so I'll be up till about 11:30. I like to read instead of do the TV, so I find that I'm always, I'm trying to grow and, kind of in what I know. So I'm an avid book collector. I have quite a library that, unfortunately, in my family is the only one that uses it. But kids nowadays aren't really into reading, I guess. So I tend to loan it out to my friends that are in the same kind of books. But I love nature. I love animals. Love being able to help people in whatever aspect that I can. Whatever day I set my intentions, usually the night before, so that it's kind of in my queue for the next day. And I'm always with what shows up. I did put some intention into it showing up. I'm definitely always grateful for how everything turns out each day. So I do have some things that I start my day with, and I do have some exercises that I do when I finish my day. Consistently done those for 11 or 12 years. They're a part of me and how I operate. I actually feel quite lost on those few times where I haven't been the usual way, I guess. So.
Well, Carolyn, thank you. That gives us a really good picture. And I picked up on so many things you were saying. I feel this about you, and I haven't experienced, but I definitely know when you said the hostess with the mostest, like I certainly know that this is something that you do from your heart, and I know that you do it, and we definitely have to mention this. Yeah. We need to mention what you do for Wings, because I feel it would be a wonderful tribute to Diane McGee. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your hostessing and your passion and what you are doing and our involvement with that?
Well, when I met Diane McGee, it was probably about 10 or 11 years ago. She came into my life, and she was just always like a mother to me. And actually, when Sophia was born, I mean, it was like she was like the grandmother for Sophia. She always seemed to show up when I needed that extra sort of shoulder or somebody. She just always came around. And so ended up that I started co-hosting with another friend the Wings meetings, which is Diane started many years ago, and then eventually it turned into Woodbridge, and I hosted that for about 6.5 years. A monthly meeting that we would do, and I provide a nice breakfast and the scenario for people to come and get together and network their work together and build their relationships. And then once I moved to Caledon, I brought it with me, and I host now here. So with the passing of Diane in November, it really surprised us. We didn't really see that coming. That you kind of always think she's invincible, I guess, because she was so great at everything she did. And we're continuing on with the Wings because that is what she wanted us to do. And so it's an honor for me to actually be asked to help on that board, to be able to continue with the Wings organization and help it grow to all that Diane dreamed that it would be. And I appreciate that every month that people trust me and support the idea of what we try to do with the Wings by coming out to our meetings.
Yes, thank you for sharing. And we met at Yvette's house in Vaughan, Ontario, and Yvette is also as passionate, right, as you are, and hosting those meetings. And thank you for letting us hold that space for Diane for tonight to attribute that. And for so many reasons, things live on, and this moment will create the ripple effect for the intentions that are set for all of the women, the men and women that are a part of Wings. And your work is so much appreciated. Being the hostess with the mostest, so you talked about your center. So what is the work that you do? What is the center? We all have a center, but I don't know. The center could be the center. I know,
it's funny. It's a strange kind of word to call it. My design center is kind of like my ground personally. It's I have a lot of my favorite things there. So I love the interior design side of being able to recreate create work better for whether it's a family or a business. It's a place that my clients can actually come and see me, so I can work as an office from there. It's set up a little bit beginning at the front so that buy and pick up something there, and I can make them a nice latte when they come in to visit. I also use it to house a lot of my staging for my collections for the work that I do. So it gives me a very sunny in Woodbridge that being that most of my work is, it's an easy point for me to be able to pick up my goods and get them to the homes and the businesses that I need to work with them. Yeah, it's just it's a great space. I love it. Everybody comments on how beautiful it is when I did a good job, and everybody feels quite comfortable when they're in there. So I'm happy. I opened it in October last year. I love being there. It's an exciting place for me to be. I actually get quite inspired when I'm in there as well. Yeah, I tap in there every day, whether I'm sitting there or I'm just coming in and out and out. I'm there every day, so it's good. I enjoy it.
I look forward to visiting you and your center. I know that that'll be on our agenda. Thank you for sharing that. Now,
Yeah.
We talked about something a little bit earlier, and I certainly know what I know about this firsthand because I've been face to face with you and I've had lunch with you, and I'm so honored that you did that and you came to our home, and I could feel something special about you. But also, in addition to that, we talked about it before the show, and you gave some really wonderful insight. I don't know if our audience will know this about you. Not only are you creative, and not only are you visual, and not only can you visualize things and put them together, but you have a sense, you have an intuition. Would you like to share a little bit about this intuition? Now, some people think intuition is a gut feeling. Some people think intuition is seeing something. Let's clarify for them what the type of intuition that you have.
Wow. So you remember the fact where I say I'm not good with labels, right? So I don't know if I would actually even define exactly what it is. And personally, I believe that all of us have intuition, whether or not we choose to activate it, tap into it, listen to it. I think that's up to each individual. I also believe that each one of us is our own healer. So I studied over the years that I think I studied just to kind of confirm what I may have already known. When we choose what we're going to study, what we're going to read, a lot of it is just it's a confirmation back to ourselves that we know that material in some way. We're activating it so that we can use it. So I in what we would call in the world the odd duck. There's a lot of odd ducks in the holistic field, and we were the ones growing up where we always kind of felt a little bit out of place in some scenarios, a little bit different in some scenarios, didn't quite know how to fit in and be like everybody else. And I can go back at least to the age of 6, remembering those kind of feelings growing up. And being in a family with, just my brother and I didn't have a lot of opportunity to bounce, things off of anybody in my family. They didn't really get me, except my grandmother. And for whatever reason, I guess I was a lot like her, and maybe that's what she recognized in me. So she was very open to allowing me to be my own authentic self. And I didn't have to kind of package myself to make everybody else happy. And so, I probably didn't activate a lot of what I could do or what I could pay attention to when I was very young. I was quite afraid, actually, of doing that. So it wasn't until in my 20s that I actually was consciously trying to make sure I was activating and paying attention and, accepting different aspects of things that I would observe and pay attention to in my life. So I try on a daily basis to be very conscious. And I think that's all we really need to do being here is just to be conscious. And I think we get so wrapped up in our life and what we're trying to, get to and be and all that for everybody else that we forget to be present and conscious. And so even if that's the only thing we aim for each day, that's huge in my books. And so, you know, I'm going to be paying attention to, you know, how people sit and move and what they do with their face and their eyes. And I listen to that part times, what's coming out of their mouth, because we all wear a lot of masks to keep everybody else happy, right? And so that isn't really anybody. So I look at other ways, and I love patterns. So a lot of the things that I studied over the years were to define those patterns within us. You know, I always resonated with, you know, iridology and reading the eyes, and, you know, the window to the soul. It's very true. They very much are the window to our soul, and they reveal that inner child within us. So I've always read people looking at their inner child in a sense. And then when it comes to the blood type, that was another thing that I found was another pattern to us, that is another way of kind of decoding us. Look at things like numerology. I longer with that than I did ever with the astrology and things like that, because it's a little bit more specific to each person. And it's another way of decoding us, I find. So when you start doing that, I mean, you see only the best in everybody. Everybody has that within them. Take off all those layers, all those onion layers, you know, you're only going to get the best and the most noble people inside of that. That's what I appreciate being able to do. Make sure that that's always active. I'm always rooting for the underdog, even if I don't know much about the underdog, because I can see in a sense, right? And
well, thank you for that.
That's
You
it.
said some very, very inspiring, you've inspired me. And some of the things that are sticking out in my mind about what you're saying, peeling the layers. So from a young age, you can go back to about 6. So let's imagine that someone in our audience thinks, you know, that they have and feels what you're discussing and what you're describing, but they're afraid of it. Can you share something that will help the audience, or someone in our audience, or maybe Laurie or I, or maybe a time that you went through it, something that will help someone go through the fear of, I have something, I feel it, it's different. How do I let it out? How do I acknowledge it and recognize it and let it be?
I think even within my practice that I've had over the years, hearing people will come and tell me their experiences of what they, you know, discovering, you know, their intuition in a sense, right? And I think society, it's the lives that have put the fear not pure and not positive. You need to not look at it in that light. And if that it's only pure energy that they're activating, you know, there's nothing bad about that. And I think the only, you know, that people will try to shut that down is because they're afraid of it themselves. So I would encourage parents, you've got a child that's coming up and you know, revealing things that are different in your, you know, you really need to honor what that child is saying and being able to do, because you can keep that gateway open for that child, because a lot of us realize what we could do, you know, and just acknowledging things when we were very young, but because of the environment we were in, it got shut down because of fear of being different. Nowadays actually allow that doorway to be open. You don't have to go through what we grew up going through, you know, shutting it down to protect ourselves. Who's going to know? And then trying to spend the rest of our life trying to open that door again. Right? So, I mean, the children nowadays are brilliant. Brilliant. There's so many things that we can learn from them if to listening.
Yes.
That's the best thing that they can do for us is to listen. Because we're older doesn't mean we're wiser. So find somebody in your life that have that confidence that, you know, they're going to hold that sacred space for you, and they're going to honor whatever it is that you tell them. It may not be, you know, some really, really close, a family member. It may be somebody outside of that circle, but keep going, finding that person that you can confide in. Alone, right? And all of us odd ducks, you know, we all get together eventually, right? And there's a lot of us in the pond. You just got to have that confidence to find those people, right? Like attracts like.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
very, very true. And I'm wondering if there's something that you would be willing to share with us, a pivotal moment, a moment where you knew that you had experienced something for the first time like no one other to your knowledge.
Hmm.
That you're willing to share.
Yes, beginning when I was in my 20s, I guess I wanted somebody to validate or confirm what I was feeling or what I was experiencing, to see if it was really real. And so, you know, going to meditation classes, going to, you know, whatever, trying to gain knowledge on this and an understanding. I remember one of the first times I went to a meditation class, and I guess I wasn't visualizing the same thing as what the person guiding the class was talking about. I was off somewhere else. And I remember opening my eyes, and everything and everybody in the room was gold, like shining gold. And I remember closing my eyes fast, thinking, okay, this can't be right. I'm in a meditation, and realizing that I wasn't in a meditation. And everybody, I opened my eyes, and everybody's, you know, closed eyes, you know, they're in their own little la la land somewhere. And I'm watching this entire room glow. It was beautiful. It's like I didn't want it to leave. I didn't want it to go. Like I didn't want to blink, right? Because it would be gone. And there was one person in that class that must have seen that reaction I had. And she came after the class when everything was finished, and she talked with me about it and just explained probably looking at, right? And it was really profound that I could actually do that or see that. I felt so privileged that I could actually witness something like that. It was just pure love. It was incredible.
That must be beautiful. I can imagine. I was imagining it as you were talking about it, like everyone being gold. That would be an awesome.
Like everything glowed in the room. Everything was like, it was amazing. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. You must be an amazing woman to live with. I'm sure your children and husband have wonderful stories, and I'd love to hear them. And I'd like to know, what are you grateful for? I know you told me you're grateful for family, and I understand that you've all the people around you, and I know that you're very appreciative and you're very open. Something you want to share on the show tonight with someone who doesn't know, or someone who is going to be watching this show and you want to tell them? Is there something that comes to mind that you're very grateful for that you'd like to share, and perhaps a person that you'd like to tell it to, say it to?
Wow, it would be a very long list, because even as you were talking, I was starting to think of names in my head, honestly. You know what? Before I was born, that was passed. Incredibly, I think she was 3 months, so I honestly never knew. I only found out about her in my life when I was about 8, and quite by accident. And I always to have a sister in my life. And so, you know, I had my brother, which is, you know, great, but very different than having a sister. Constantly, you know what, I want to experience what it's like to have a sister in this lifetime. And, you know, I've been with so many amazing, amazing, amazing women, so many different kinds of age, that I feel like they're honestly cry for any of them, right? Like at the drop of a hat. I just have feeling and love for all of them. That I say that, you know, sisters are with you for your entire life, and I've at a point where I have that feeling. I know what they're talking about when they say that, because people I have in my life. So I thank them every single day in my prayers.
Thank you for sharing. You certainly are surrounded by a lot of sisterhood. And if I may say that, you certainly have a lot of women around you who I, for one, feel that way about you from the minute I saw you, aside from wanting to meet you for over a year. And there you were. Obviously, I'm a patient woman. So glad that, so glad that we were at Yvette's house and we got to have our face-to-face time. I wanted to ask you a question about, whoops, so sorry. I wanted to ask you a question about sharing with us, pardon me, giving the show over to you. But before I do that, I wanted to know if Laurie has any question to ask you. And then after that, I'm going to put the show over to you for a few minutes, Carolyn, and I'm going to give you an opportunity or a chance, if you have, you know, if you have the inclination to do this, to ask Laurie and I a question. So as I told the audience earlier, I totally love on-the-spot impromptu things, and Laurie totally not. But we do things that we're not loving all the time to grow and reach and stretch. So if Laurie, if there's a question that you would like to ask Carolyn before we pass the show over to her, let us know.
Sure, yeah. So you mentioned, you know, you do the like the eyes and the iridology, and so before our show you mentioned something about Catherine and I and our eyes like matching or something. So I wondered if you could just kind of tell us a little bit more insight into that.
You come from the same soul family, I would call it. I've heard a little bit about when you guys first met, which is pretty, but there's something that for a very, 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 very long time, and your eyes reveal that you have it. You guys were destined to find each other. So, you know, it's amazing when people like act on it, right, and do something about it, because, you know, a lot of times people don't put any value to it, and the moment's gone. You know, it's amazing that you two have come together, and you're actually accomplishing amazing things by being together. You're stronger, you know, and you know, just like one likes questions, one doesn't, or whatever, you know, it complements. It's that yin and yang that you guys have between the two of you, right? So it's perfect, you know. We see the outer package of all of us, you know, it's each one's unique, each one's beautiful in its own way, but it's what's below that stunning. That speaks volumes to me more than the outer package. So hearts, beautiful hearts together. So you should be really proud of all of the work that you've done, especially with this over the last 4 years. That's amazing. So.
Well, I thank you for that. And Laurie, that was an awesome, fantastic question. Thank you for having Carolyn elaborate on it. Well, Carolyn, this is the part of the show where we would like to give you the control, and you go right ahead and ask us a question if you have one for us.
Okay, so you guys have done 4 years with this work already. How is this getting? Like, do you see it where you physically bring people together as a yearly event together, like a reunion that you do every year? Like, there's potential with what you guys have started with this. Have you thought that for? Interesting, you guys met on stage, you know, stage together with something about the gratitude. It needs to be out there. There's so many ways that you can share this to mentor young girls, mentor the old girl, you know, that have you thought that you could actually get yourselves back on stage somehow, you know, with this work that you're doing together?
Laurie, would you like to answer first, or would you like me to answer first?
Sure, I'll answer a little bit. We have talked about that a lot of different times. We haven't taken a lot of steps to move forward with it, but yes, we've talked about being, and we have been together in different places several times. But yeah, we have talked about you know, being on stage together and being able to mentor and teach and help and, you know, counsel other women as well as, you know, younger girls too. You know, and everybody, you know, I mean, even men and guys too, but we focus on girls, you know, but you know, that's it. You know, all of us have different emotional roller coasters that we go through in our lives, and you know, nobody's void of that, right? Everybody has things that they go through, and it's different things. You know, I've had different things that Catherine has had, and you know, and that you've had, and so, but we find ways to find that gratitude no matter what, you know. And you know, I was very blessed with being a mother that taught me that growing up. And then through some of the things that I went through in life, you know, we kind of forget those for just a moment, and everything that was trained and bred in us. And, you know, and that's normal. You know, it's normal to grieve and cry and get mad and things like that throughout things. But then finding ways to get back to that. And I think that's really important. And that's one of the reasons that we started this show, as well as, you know, what we try to both help other people in our circles of our worlds, you know, is just to, you know, to focus on finding that, you know, you don't have to stay in that spot. You know, you can move forward with not forgetting your past. You know, a lot of people like don't want to forget things or whatever. And sometimes you might want to. So it just depends on the situation, but, you know, still finding the gratitude that you can find, and, you know, and focus on that and make sure your focus stays appropriate.
Yes, Laurie, thank you for that. Carolyn, that's a super question. Laurie and I, when we first got together, were on stage, and one of the goals that we had was to travel the world together and to be together and do shows in different places. And we have over the years. We travel for the company, our card company that we work together, across lines in. And when we are together for that, at the moment, we travel for that together. But we talk about where are we going to be next, what city will we be in, and hosting a show in different places. And I am of the belief that things happen. It is in play. We will always be together, traveling the world. We will share our gratitude and host a platform for others to share their gratitude. I also believe that after a period of time, know and trust that you're still going to be there. So many times we've seen things happen and happen quickly, and that's great. And we are happening quickly, in my opinion, but we're not going anywhere. And that is an important message when it comes to gratitude, that we are here and we're here to stay. So I believe that there are stages for us to be on. Absolutely. This is a wonderful stage for us. Yeah. We're happy to speak to people from all over the world. And we live in different countries, but that's not going to stop us. We both know how to get on a plane, and Laurie gets on a plane very quickly. So I believe that your question is the intention that you're setting for us that is already in play for us. So we don't have the actual action steps for that, but we think big, and gratitude is a big deal to us. We live it and we breathe it.
Yeah.
speak of it and look for it. It's almost like being a scout. I don't know if that's the right word, Carolyn, but when I talk to people, I scout out gratitude. And I find that that's always my conversation throughout the course of the day about a gratitude girl show. And it's not easy to explain, but when someone like yourself easily understood that, you knew that that platform would be a place where you could come and share something. So thank you for putting that out there. That's a beautiful, beautiful vision, and it will certainly take off. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Nice. Girls, gratitude.
Well, I don't want to look at the clock. I don't want to look at the clock, Carolyn and Laurie. I don't. But Laurie, I have a feeling that it's getting close to that time. And our audience has, I'm sure, questions for Carolyn. So let me ask you this, Carolyn. If the people in our audience want to reach you, they want to contact you, tell us a little bit about how can they get in touch with you after the show tonight?
They can email. I answer that pretty promptly. Carolynn Tersigni at gmail.com. Text or call 534-9252.
Okay, and we'll make sure that we have that information also posted on our, Laurie Wright will be able to post that information on our Gratitude Girls site. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you and they do that through us, we'll pass that on to you. Well, Carolyn, it has been completely a wonderful experience. Like we're just hanging out, right? It's just us. It's just us talking, getting to know each other. That's really what it is. It's a hangout. But it's a very important one. It's a very important one for us. Thank you for sharing your insight about Laurie and I. Thank you for talking to us about our eyes and how we've been together before. And thank you for not only being a guest, but for working and digging deep in and telling us things about us and about yourself and sharing your life with our audience. It's such a successful show and it feels so effortless to be able to communicate with one another. I appreciate that, and I certainly would like to stay in very close touch, like maybe even tomorrow, as close and as quickly as that. And for our audience, right? We might have coffee again tomorrow or tea. Laurie, can you tell our audience, for others who are interested in sharing their story, want to get in touch with us, how can they do that? How do they get in touch with us and get on our show?
Yes, absolutely. Send us your gratitude stories right on our Facebook page. So facebook.com/gratitudegirls. We'll let you know when your story can be featured, and we will see you right here, the same place, same channel, every month, 4th Tuesday of every single month, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific.
Thank you, Laurie. It's a pleasure, and my heart is warmed every time that I get to share a platform and a stage with you. And I look forward to speaking to you again, Carolyn, in the very near future. To our audience, thank you. This is a wonderful, wonderful evening for us. So I send love and light to everyone, and till our next show.
Good night.